When you think of Spencer Matthews, do you think of baking? Of course you do. Well, you should. He's taking part in this weekend's Celebrity Bake-Off for Stand Up to Cancer.
But is he any good? Well, we're going to have a look.
And Spencer joins us now. He's been growing cakes and growing hair. I mean, it's like, you know...
Hair and beard.
What's going on since then?
That's what happens when you leave it, you know.
Now, had you baked before you went on the show? Had you ever baked a cake?
The odd thing, not really. More, I kind of would probably prefer cooking. We bake a bit at home with the kids, obviously, you know, the odd cupcake and bits and bobs. But no, it was just difficult to turn down such an iconic show for such a great cause.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, and some great other people on there as well alongside you, which must have made it lots of fun.
It was it was an incredible process, as you might imagine. Being in the tent was amazing. Particular fan of Munya Chihuahua. It was great. He was next to me.
I've got to say, the lineup for these kind of shows, this lineup is pretty incredible.
It is.
You know, yourself, Danny Dyer, at the top, of course, Danny Dyer, Oti Mabuta, Gabby Logan, Dermot O'Leary, Greg James, Mel B, Reverend Richard Cole, Sarah Cox. I mean, it's all the big ones. You were there.
Couldn't quite believe what I was doing there, to be honest, but I was delighted to get a front row seat.
So I know you can't give everything out because the whole point is we want to watch the story unfold.
Indeed.
But was there anything that came out to be particularly successful, particularly disastrous? Did you find yourself a whiz at something?
I think it's fair to say that we're not the world's most talented bakers. I think we're there for charity, of course, and for Stand Up to Cancer. I think most families are in some way affected by cancer. So, but yeah, look, there was the odd triumph as well as the odd disappointment.
Just like life.
Yes,
like life.
indeed.
Now, I love your podcast with Vogue. It's brilliant how the two of you clearly have such an incredible relationship together.
Thank you.
But you take the mickey out of each other as well, relentlessly. Actually, that's not quite fair. Vogue takes the mickey out of you relentlessly.
Yes.
And apparently you're not too good-looking.
Well, thankfully, I'm average-looking. Otherwise, you know, she'd have no interest.
She says she doesn't like them super handsome.
Doesn't like handsome men, apparently. So that's
just a bit average. And that's why she went with you.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Well, that's love, isn't it?
Whatever it is seems to be working.
I always get interested when couples do podcasts together. Do you decide? Are there issues that are off limits? You go, right, we'll talk about everything, because you've got to be quite relaxed in that kind of studio when you're doing it. But are there things that you go, right, we are not going there, we're not talking about this?
We don't kind of do that ahead of time.
Because what are they?
If something's obviously...
Talk about them now.
If something's obviously private and personal to us that we wouldn't want to share, we probably won't talk about it in the pod studio. But it's pretty fluid, you know, and we record quite frequently. But the problem with Vogue as a co-host is that the arguments kind of follow you home, you know. You can't
well, I was going to say, I mean, couples argue all the time. Do you ever sort of have just had a bit of an argument and then you have to do your record of your podcast and you're like going, I really don't want to be talking to her right now?
It's usually the other way around. but yeah, no, we have had that. I think we're a pretty normal married couple, so obviously have our ups and downs. Usually ups, I have to say. You know, we're delighted most of the time, I think I can say, or I certainly am. But it's great to work with your best friends and wife. You know, I really enjoy it.
And you're taking, am I right in thinking, the podcast to the stage, to a live audience?
Yes, we've done that already. We're just coming to the end of our Irish tour. We've got 2 dates left in Dublin, 28th and 29th of this month. But it's that's a whole different deal. So that's kind of more of a theatrical performance, although of course we're not that's not our trade,
not actors.
but we're having a lot of fun with it.
I've heard it's quite theatrical. I heard you kind of expose yourself a little bit on the show.
There's nudity.
Well, you know, what time is it? No, there's a little bit of nudity, there's some nudity.
What, in what context?
Well, not in the context that you might be thinking of.
What kind of show is this?
Yes, exactly. So something that you should... We'd love to have you there, by the way. Come check it out. You might even enjoy the nudity. No, nothing too explicit. It's relatively tame, but quite, you know, pretty... I think I'm allowed to say I think it's pretty entertaining.
I'm sure.
We'll get you a front row seat for Dublin if you fancy.
Yeah, well, maybe. But
you seem to want to get Adele nude. I've been trying to get Adele into padded pants this morning.
What is this? How can you work padded pants into this very intelligent conversation with your lovely...
We'll come back to intelligence, but our viewers are very exercised. We have a debate later in the show. These padded pants, if I turn it to the side, you can see the padded a bit better. It shows better on the black. These give you a bigger bottom. Now, is that something you would think was a good plan, Spencer?
I think if you feel like wearing...
Should we have a look? I mean,
yeah, you want to have a quick...
Let's have a look at the bottom.
Let's have a look.
I mean, hang on, you can't just show me.
You could put your bum in Kate's face.
To see. Go around that way.
Are they necessary, do we think?
I think that's all right, and we all think. I mean, I think everyone's loving that.
Yeah. What are the purpose of these things, sorry?
Well, it's trendy now to have a big, capacious bottom. I mean...
Lifts everything up.
About 40 years too late for me, but apparently it's great to have a big bottom.
I don't know where I'm going with this. I'll tell you what, I'll take a pair home.
Yes.
I'll put them on this evening.
Will you? And send us all a
hit the
picture.
town, see what happens.
I'll let you guys know what the result is.
Now, back to the podcast. Very good. You've also got another new podcast, haven't you? Big Fish. What's that about?
Yeah, so Big Fish is its fourth series has just launched. That's where I interview kind of remarkable people with interesting stories, often quite career-led. Loads of my guests have kind of overcome quite serious adversity in their life. And there's something about the podcast and the room that we're in that makes it just really candid, quite deep. It's a very different show to Spencer and Vogue, but I'm often incredibly inspired by the stories of the guests that come on. We've interviewed Joe Malone and Gordon Ramsay and other kind of names that you will have certainly heard of.
Big Fish podcast.
The Big Fish podcast,
You could do the Big Bottom podcast next.
Indeed.
If you wanted to.
Why not add another?
Exactly. Spencer, good luck with everything you're doing. It's just fantastic.
Can't wait to see you whipping up a Victoria sponge or something. It's going to be good.
Thank you.